Hello, hello, hello. Today we got Michael from the front line of Ukraine.
Well, I'm not on the
Give
front
me
lines. Let's not say that, but I'm in I'm back in Ukraine. Yeah,
pretty close for Well, you're helping the guys. You're training the guys who are on the front line, though,
yeah,
right?
yeah. That's what I'll be doing when I get back to Kremenchuk. Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, fill us in. What's that kind of in detail?
So it's basically I do a very compressed version of boot camp, right? Anybody who's been through basic knows what that shit's like. But it's real knit and grit. Like no shit. I start like first day. I start with ready ups, weapon manipulation, and then by the end of the first day, I've got them doing buddy team movements. Right, like because I most of the time I might get 2 weeks with some guys. Right, like on
Right.
a good with a good schedule, I get 2 weeks. Sometimes I get 5 days, right? So and these guys don't know shit, right? Some of them never even held a weapon, right? So I'm having to explain to them on an AK where the safety is and shit, right? Um, so it's real, man. So like yeah, it's just very compressed. Like it, I cram in as much information as I can in as short a period of time as possible so that if they end up having to freaking pop smoke to the freaking front line the next day, at least they have something to help them keep them stay alive, right? Also, in that first or second day, I also go through a combat lifesaver, right? Just a real like stop the bleeding, um, get an airway open, and get them to a freaking medic, right? Like I don't even go into um, hypothermia or any of that shit. Like I'm just like, dude, like put a tourniquet on it, uh, pack the wound if you need to, and get them to a medic. So I mean, it's and like at first I was kind of hoping that like some of these guys had knew something, right? No. So I mean, I think my niece knows how to handle a weapon better than some of these guys, but but it's all right. I mean, it's starting to work. Like, and I'm not the only one doing it, right? There's a couple of other guys spread out throughout Ukraine doing the same thing I am. I don't know them. I just know that they're out there. So it logistically, it's a big challenge too, right? Because I don't speak the language, so I have to get an interpreter and get all that lined out, and but yeah, it's I've the nice thing is I've been doing it for a while now, right? So this is my so I got in the country in March, right? So what is that? Almost 9 months now. So 9, 10 months. So I've really gotten it. Like when I first started, it was really hard to figure out what I needed to teach, right? And how much time I was going to get, right? But now I've always got it in my head that I might get 3 days, I might get 2 weeks, but I shouldn't count on anything more than that. So that's a big. So anyway, I mean, it's fun, right? Because I get to play soldier again, right? So and knock off the rust, and Ukraine's awesome, man. Like I mean, honestly, I think I was telling y'all the last time when I was having major technical difficulties, but like unless this isn't like Iraq or Afghanistan, like we're like in Iraq and Afghanistan, everywhere was the front. Even if you were on freaking a patrol base or freaking cop, you could still get freaking shot or whatever from over the wall, right? Here, man, unless you're on the front line, like literally no shit, zero line as they call it, you're not um, you're not seeing anything, right? I mean, I get a couple of rockets here and there in Kremenchuk, but there's nothing you can do about that, right? Like
Makes your
baseball
day
bat.
a little more fun.
Yeah.
Rocket.
Yeah, exactly, right? So, I mean, I remember like what was I think it was June. Was it June? I want to say it was June 7th or 8th. Maybe it was June 10th. I don't know. Anyway, that was when in the town that my apartment's in, Kremenchuk. That's where that mall was hit. And that was like I think it was like 600 meters as like a bird flies from my apartment. And I think there was like two or three rockets that hit. I remember it spilt my coffee, and I was more upset about spilling my coffee than I was the rocket attack. You know, like, you know, like after being at Bagram for freaking in Afghanistan and getting like 20 rockets a night, like it's like whatever, dude. You know,
Dude, I would have felt the exact same way. I'm like, bro, like I got like coffee all over me. Like, what's the deal here? Like, why?
Yeah, it was good coffee too. It wasn't that instant shit. Like, I mean, I actually made a pot, right? Like,
so then, how far are you from the actual front line there?
Okay, so right now,
what did you say? What did you say the line was called?
The zero line is what they call it.
Okay, I thought you said some Ukrainian name, and I wanted to know it.
Yeah.
But
so like basically, like right now, I'm pretty close to the Romanian border, right? Because I just came from Romania yesterday. I'll hop a train tomorrow, or I'm sorry, on the 8th, and take it to Kremenchuk, which is about a 22-hour train ride. And
I guess
Kremenchuk is about 3 hours south of Kiev on the Ukrainian border, on the Dnipro River. So from there, from the front, I'm about 4 to 6 hours, I guess. I'd say like so. Right now, the front is moved from Kherson to Donetsk, right? So I'm about 6 hours from Donetsk. So I mean, really, I'm like the nice thing about where I am, I can pretty much be anywhere on the front in less 4 to 6 hours if I needed to be, right? I'm not. I mean, most of the time, and like so. What one of the organization here that I kind of partnered with is called Overwatch Ukraine, and these guys are awesome, dude. Like they are like once a week, once every 2 weeks, they're running shit to the front lines, right? Like they're taking and they're always asking me like, hey, what should I? Because I mean, you know, I was a soldier, right? And they're like, what should we bring the dudes? I'm like going socks, right? Like that's the first thing out of my mouth. Like get them a good pair of boots and some socks, right?
Socks and tourniquets.
Yeah. Well, they're pretty good on tourniquets now. I just I gotta give a shout out to my buddy Shep Enterprises. He helped secure about 70 tourniquets that I just dropped off to Project Overwatch, and like the guy that I kind of deal with directly. He's like, man, they don't really need tourniquets right now. They're kind of flush on tourniquets, right? Because that's what everybody's been getting for the last 10 months. It's like focus on tourniquets. Yeah. Because in the beginning, man, it was so hard getting tourniquets. I mean, and they're freaking outrageously priced, right?
Yeah.
So
expensive. So expensive.
Yeah.
Like
I need to go into business making tourniquets, right?
I think for the most part, those were all like old special. I think if I remember correctly, the American I can't remember the name of the company, but American Rescue or whatever, they started with the government contract, and then they went into paramedic and EMTs, and then they gave them that. I think it's just a bunch of old crepit like PJs and SEALs that just connected and be like, hey, you know what we could do? We could charge like $100 for these pieces of plastic.
It's insane. Like I was like, well, like when I saw what a tourniquet costs. I mean, damn, dude. I was going, golly. I mean, like the Army's getting. I mean, it's a piece of freaking nylon with a plastic fucking windlass, right? Like,
yeah.
What the hell, man? Like I can make what.
Well, we say that now, but I think that there's more limitations to it. I mean, I don't know. I feel
Yeah.
like I feel like it's a very easy piece of equipment that a lot of people could mess up.
Oh, absolutely, man. I get some fakes out of China, dude, that are like freaking this rubbery plastic shit, and when you're cranking them down, they rip it. The plastic rips,
That's the
right?
worst.
Like,
Yeah.
So I mean, the best stuff out there is like the what is it? I can't remember what they're called, but like they're made out of steel. All the buckles and everything are steel.
Man, I forget too, and I have a bunch of them. I think they have like Israel in them.
Yeah.
Something with Israel. I think they are actually made out in Israel.
Yeah.
With the metal windlass, and then they have a V to connect it. Yeah, those are cool too. The cat tourniquets are always pretty good, but there's always also a belt is pretty good too.
Yeah,
a
I
belt's
mean, like
really
that's
good.
what I tell the guys, right? Like I'm like, well, hey, always like, I mean, when you're choosing your belt, choose a freaking one that's an inch and a half, at least an inch and a half wide, made out of like a nylon, right? Because at the very least, you can throw a stick in there, or the barrel of like take the barrel of your freaking of a
Weapon.
freaking pistol or something, and tighten that baby up, right?
So you're about 4 hours away from the zero line, and you are just a command away from heading over there to see if you, not only for supplies but also for just man support if need be. But you, as an American citizen, if you were in that area and God forbid taken for any reason, not
I'm
that
screwed.
It's likely, yeah, 100%. But I haven't. Oh no, I know you are for sure.
But let me put it like this: I'm not getting taken alive, bro. That's just not happening.
No, that's not. No, really, it's more like how many can you take with you?
Right. Yeah,
so
exactly.
That's.
I'm gonna make them kill me. So.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. Yeah, that's. But and you've been there. Well, you left Ukraine already, right? You went to Romania for a while. Is that right?
Yeah.
How long were you just kind of taking a breather?
Yeah. So like basically, as an American, right, I can only stay in country for about 90 days, and then I have to bounce out, right?
According to who?
According to the immigration, right?
But from which side? Ukraine or
Ukraine?
US?
Ukraine.
That's so weird, right? Like,
Yeah.
why would they have that limitation?
Well, okay, and here's the thing on that, right? Like, I have gotten so many different different people have told me different shit, right? And so finally, I got connected with somebody from the freaking Ukrainian State Department, whatever, right? And I asked them directly, and like, cause like the one thing that's actually legit is like I can only be in country for 90 days. Then I had to pop smoke, right? But the thing that was like the where I was getting two different pieces of information is one. Some people say that I have to be gone for 90 days, right? I can only be in country for 90 days in a 180-day period, right? And then, but then I asked the State Department lady, and she's like, no, like we don't, like you can leave, spend like a day or two or a week out of Ukraine, and then just pop right back in, right? And like, so you only have to be gone for about 2 or 3 days. So
did you watch when the Ukrainian president was in Congress and spoke to the American Congress? You didn't see that?
No, I didn't see that.
So I didn't actually listen to the whole thing, but just looking at it from an outside perspective, not really looking at it. One, he showed up with like a brown sweater and like full kind of like relaxed
army garb,
kind of like relaxed tactical gear, and I'm like, nobody could have given this dude a suit. Nobody could have. Yeah, which I understand. Obviously, what he's trying to do is that he's like, hey, my people are quote unquote suffering, and we're doing stuff here, so I'm not going to put a suit. I'm going to kind of represent what we're doing. Yeah. Yet, we have people like you who are quite literally putting their life at stake when you're close by, right? Mm-hmm. Training these people that I guess I'm just kind of trying to figure out where how do you feel about how your country is doing?
Oh man, dude. So I put America and the EU in the same boat, right? Because in my opinion, they're both
Should
fucking
you though?
complicit. Yeah, for sure. because they're like, I mean, so like what I mean by that is that I kind of think of them the same way, right? Like they're both complicit in not doing anything. Like the biggest thing I think that the EU or America or somebody could do, right, is just shut down the fucking airspace, dude. Like that's the thing that kills us, right? Is it like if this was just a purely ground war, right? I think Ukraine could win it in freaking, a month or two, right? Like, but the
But
fact that like they,
but think
like
about
I mean,
why. You're saying something really simple, like right? Hey, shut down, right?
yeah,
And maybe we don't know the complexity of that command, but
yeah,
I think it is that simple. So I'm
me
like,
too.
and the thing is that it's just I've done a little bit of research and kind of just like with my history in the Department of Defense and how things work and
Yeah.
how and not even that. It's more like things that are done in the political realm to seem like one thing but really be the other.
Mm-hmm.
I'm constantly thinking it was like, why is it that we're still putting up Ukrainian flags, but we know how to end this, but we're not ending this?
Right.
What are we doing? What are we
So
hiding?
this man, like here's the thing. Like, so there's been a pretty crazy development in the last week and a half, right?
Please tell us, because what we're hearing here is kind of
Yeah.
like silly chaos. Like it's not like I don't even watch it anymore because it's so stupid.
Yeah,
So
I
yeah,
got
dude,
you,
tell.
man. So basically, so when I left it, man, I'll have to put videos up. But when I left to go to Romania, right, there was a line of trucks, almost like 20 kilometers long, dude, like waiting, like on both sides of the border, on the Romanian and the Ukrainian side, waiting to get through the border, right? Some guys, like some truckers, sit in freaking line for like a week and a half trying to get their cargo through, right? So, which
to
is like, I'm
to
going
to
like
for to bring things into
to
Ukraine or
both
both.
ways,
Okay.
bring things in and export, right? Import and export.
What are
And
the
the
biggest what are the biggest exports and imports? We're talking about
grain,
grain,
that's the biggest. That's the
of course,
biggest thing.
of course.
And that to me is the reason why, like, we can't, like, in my opinion, of all people, EU should be really focused on this war, right?
Yeah, it's like
Because
it doesn't make sense, dude.
because here's the thing, right? Like the EU already gets like, what is it, like 60-70% of its gas from freaking Russia, right? If Russia takes over Ukraine, now they own the freaking breadbasket. So now they got, not only do they control the gas and oil, but now they control the food,
That's
right?
exactly it, and that's what I'm getting at. Like I didn't want to blatantly out and say it. I wanted someone to kind of say it before me.
Yeah,
It's controlling food.
yeah, it's that
It's just
simple.
it's like that, right? And the thing
Yeah.
is that like why? Well, we're kind of doing it here a little bit, and I've noticed it more and more, even in Florida, dude. And where like
Mhm.
it's like super difficult for farmers to grow food. It's like why? Why are you making it more difficult for farmers to grow food?
Yeah.
What's going on here? It's like wait, so food is more expensive? I can't like why is it
Yeah,
all of a
it's
sudden more expensive?
okay. So this is like, let me put my tinfoil hat on here for a second,
Do it,
right?
dude.
Like,
Do it. Do it 100%
like
because that's where I
it's
want to
all about
go.
control, right? It's
Yeah.
all that freaking, like, it's because I mean, like okay, like get, like, I mean, honestly, like, not having oil sucks, right? Not having freaking electricity sucks. Not having, like, whatever, but you could survive,
It doesn't
right?
suck more than food, bro.
You get rid of food and water, man, you're screwed, right? Like that's the
Yeah.
ultimate control.
That's
So,
how you rule.
mhm.
The and I mean you can it's I mean it's really silly. I mean like not silly, very obvious if you just kind of just I don't know, think for yourself for a little bit, just kind of like,
Yeah.
and it's like, why is it that Bill Gates is right now the largest owner of real estate in the country? It's like, wait, why? That's so weird. Like, what is he trying to do?
Why are
You
we
took him.
selling Why are we selling farmland to freaking China?
Why? Right. It's like, why is it that so many Chinese people own American land, and how is that legal? Like,
Yeah.
nothing against, like, I understand, like, America is a free country, and you know, we should welcome whoever, but
Yeah.
giant corporations just buying acres upon acres upon acres of our land at like, what the hell are we doing, dude?
Yeah.
Like, it's almost like this is all very
And here's the
strategically.
part, like, and I said this in the beginning of last year when I first got here, that my biggest concern about this war is that freaking private, like the private sector, like freaking the paramilitary groups are going to come in here.
Oh yeah.
And once they start making money, it's going to be Iraq and Afghanistan all
We're
over again, dude.
never gonna leave, dude. That's exactly why I was so amazed with kind of like what you were doing. And remember, like, the first question that I asked you was like, oh, you know, who's your contractor? Like, what are you doing? And then when you said what you said, I was like, dude, my hat's off to you. That is so awesome. Because,
but like, here's the thing, right? So like, I've decided that at the end of freaking 2024, dude, I'm done, right?
Yeah.
Like, unless there's like a clear freaking victory on the freaking horizon, I'm done. Because at that point, because at that point, if this thing isn't freaking close to a decided one way or the other, then like, I mean, I already think there are people freaking making money out of this, right? Because they could end it. This thing could be done. Like, no, like, I mean, honestly, I tell this to people all the time. Like, all that needs to happen is a squadron of F-22s freaking flies over the freaking airspace. They don't even have to engage anybody. Just fly over. Right?
And just go like this. Just go like this. Just go, shh, stop.
Yeah.
Stop. And then it's done. But I think that they're kind of allowing it to happen. And now, once again, I'm not going to say this is 100% truth, because maybe, and I'm open-minded to it, there's something that we don't know. But,
agreed.
Right? Maybe.
Yeah.
But the thing is that we've kind of done our research. You're there on the front line. I'm here looking and speaking to a lot of people that have been in that realm, that have been in different countries in war. And this one just seems a little bit more, I think you mentioned it the first time that we spoke. It was just propaganda. I don't know.
Dude, both sides too, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's not just Russia, right? It's Ukraine too. The Ukrainian propaganda is epic, dude. Like, holy crap. Like, no joke, I don't know anything that's going on outside of Ukraine when I'm here, right? Unless I watch it on YouTube or some shit, right? Like,
what are they pushing? Are they
like,
what are they?
Just, you know, it's freaking like patriotic crap. Like, you know, we support your soldiers, you know, support the fight, blah 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 blah. Same shit that we see in America, just more so, right? But it's just, you know, like, I mean, but they also they show guys training, right? But like, I don't know who these guys that they're showing, because they're not the dudes that I'm teaching, right? So like
they're showing like the Air Force commercials with like Ukrainian.
Like, I mean, like, where's that plane coming from? That's your shit, right? Like,
that's so funny. The thing is that,
like, I don't know who they're showing, like some sort of special forces group, I guess, that they have, because I haven't seen them, right?
Send money here.
Yeah. And it's, so, I mean, it's kind of giving this false reality of like what it's, you know, and dude, honest to God, like, I mean, being like going to the front, like, okay, so right now, let me finish this about those trucks, right? So when I left to go to Romania, the truck line was like, you know, 20 kilometers long on both sides. Now all those trucks are gone, and it's only been a week. I don't know where the fuck they went gone. Pardon my language, but like I don't know where they went. And me and my buddy, like with my buddy Max with Project Overwatch Ukraine. He's Ukrainian, right? And he's like, when he goes, like he was like, where'd the trucks go? Right? It kind of freaks him out. He's like, where, like, how did this happen? Like in a week, like no joke, like from Christmas to now, right? A week, almost 2 weeks, I guess.
Obviously you're 4 hours and you're closer to the Romanian border, but is it fair to say, is there any, well, of course there is, especially closer, but like, are people starving? Are people dying of hunger?
When you get closer to like Donetsk and Kherson, and well, not Kherson anymore. They liberated that, but like Donetsk is the next big hot spot, and places like that, and Bakhmut. Yeah, man. Like when you, especially like 2 mile, like when you get within a couple of miles, yeah. And the thing about it is like people don't want to leave their homes, right? Like it's weird. Like I can get them a ride, right, to freaking Romania, easy. It's a piece of cake.
So they're fearful of leaving their homes?
Yeah, they're fearful and they don't want to leave their home, right? Like it's like that's all they've ever known, right? Like, and they're afraid of going to Romania or someplace and not being able to, not knowing the language, not knowing whatever. And I'm like, well, then don't leave Ukraine. Just go to the freaking like Chernivtsi, right? Like get away from the front, right? So you don't freaking die where there's food and shit, right? Like, but trying to convince people to leave their homes, that's a freaking challenge, man.
Isn't that crazy? Yeah, that's pretty crazy how people are programmed really to be that fearful. And man, I don't want to diminish their.
You see the same thing in the U.S. though when there's a hurricane
100%.
coming through Florida, right? Like, I mean, like people go, "No, I'm gonna write it out." Like you're stupid, dude. Like,
yeah, yeah, for sure. But I think and that's actually why I asked what kind of propaganda was being put out by the Ukrainian government, because I was trying to figure out if there was any kind of, not fear mongering, but just being pushed in a direction of stay in your home, or more like, hey, get out of here. I don't know like what they're trying to push. And if it's just the, hey, be a proudful Ukrainian, then people are going to be proudful and they're going to put their stick down on the floor and they're going to be like, all right, we're going to stay here. And for most people that you're training,
well, so in some cases too, right? Like so, like men in the military age, 18, 16 to freaking whatever, 30, 42 or 55 or whatever, they can't leave Ukraine, right? Like you have to stay because we need to, refill our forces, right? Like
what are the ages again? What are the ages
like,
again?
I don't hold me to this, man. Like I think it's like 16 to like 55 or something like that.
And that's only male. That's male.
That's only males. Yeah, it's only men. Yeah, like there's no questions here about like what genders are, right? I
was just about to add, if this was happening in America, that's one of the times in where, like, I don't know if like the feminist movement would be like, no, we want to stay too. It's like, nah, we're okay.
No. All that goes away when bullets start flying, dude.
Yeah, right. We're pretty blessed in America that way, right? We have it so good that we have literally made up problems.
Exactly. And it's like what's even funnier is like seeing like Ukrainians laugh at America.
It's
right.
Oh man, no, dude, I love the one that I love is Africa. When Africa laughs at us, we're like, oh, I'm like, ow, that kind of hurts.
Yeah, dude. Like I mean, and you nailed it, right? Like the reason why people are making up these problems because they don't have anything else. They don't have any other problems.
Nothing, dude. Not at all. It's just one of those things.
Yeah. And I mean, so like, and like I sit there and like I think it's like And on top of that, it's almost like, I mean, like, I don't even understand where it came from, right? Like, I mean, how you question biology, right? Like freaking 2 years ago, you were yelling at us about freaking like trust the science, and now it's like science is out the window, right? like
Yeah, I have a pretty pretty good idea where that came from, but I think I'll leave that for another time. But
of course,
you want to say? Yeah, and I actually wanted to have you. I want to talk to you some other time. But I actually, to kind of add Rob back into the conversation also, is what is your, I know you said 2024 is kind of like ETA to, pork chop sandwiches out of there.
Yeah.
But I guess like, what is your personal goal for this year while you're there? And then also, are you kind of linked up with at least, I know that it's not necessarily like a contractor or like a group, but is there people that you're doing things with? Because I know, dude, I mean, kind of.
Yeah. I work with it. So I try to stay as far away from any American organization as I can, right? Because I'm not kidding. I've worked with two now. I'm going to leave them out of it, but they're pretty, like, Americans come over here and they're freaking, like, no joke. They only want to help in one way, and that's the only way they want to help, right? And then on top of that, they're, like, I swear they're trying to make money somehow, right?
Of course.
And I get it, but, like, I mean, like, the Ukrainian people aren't going to pay for shit, right? Like, no. It's like, they're trying to freaking keep food on the table. They're not going to freaking, be able to afford paying whatever. Now on the flip side of that, like, some people are able to get in with military contracts and actually get to work directly with the Ukrainian military, and those people can get paid, and that's cool, right? Like, I don't give a shit about that, but like, so I linked up with a Ukrainian organization, Overwatch, right? And I do everything I can to help them, right? Like, I try to get them gear. I'm trying to get linked in with some people in, like, the Italian Red Cross, right? And, like, I even got linked in with a freaking trucking company to where I can move products from, like, Italy, anywhere in Europe to the Ukrainian border, right? And from there, I can move it across. But my real goal, like, I guess if I really wanted to do anything, would be have a steady logistical line set up to where if guys need something on the front, they can just pick up a phone, call whoever at Project Overwatch or whatever, and it'll be there in a couple of days, right? Like, that would be...
Like what? Give me an example of some things that the guys would need. Because for the most part, correct me if I'm wrong, when it's not direct front contact, you are guarding for Russians that are trying to bulldoze and come over and basically take more of the line.
So right, obviously this kind of thing is obviously seasonal, right? So, like, right now we're coming into winter.
Yeah,
right?
So that's
So, like, and it's really hasn't been too cold yet, like, not like it was last year, but like, like freaking waffle tops or, cold weather gear, good, like, good jackets that aren't freaking red, right? Like,
hey, I don't know if you knew that I was here, but I'm right here.
Civilians, right? But, like, when you're trying to fight a war, you don't exactly want to be wearing freaking Hunter's orange, right? Like, it's
it's so funny just because, man, especially in the Air Force, I think Air Force is the one that's kind of for the most part. Actually, I don't know how it is now under Biden or whatever, but under Trump, man, we would get so much equipment, especially in the special operations realm. We would just kind of get all the Gucci gear. We would call it Patagucci. Just we get Patagonia and Arc'teryx and all really good things. They're just good. They keep us warm, and they're also just very durable, so we wouldn't have to kind of repetition.
Well, that's the thing, right? Like, I mean, you don't. Like, I never really paid attention to it when I was in the military, right? But like that ripstop shit, the freaking. The way they sew the freaking the
pants,
ACUs and freaking like even the waffle tops, man. Like that ripstop, man, is awesome. Right? Compared to what I see these guys wearing here, where they don't have that ripstop, man. Like you catch a thorn, you're freaking ripped open. Right?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, and I don't know how much thorns you're going by.
The forests here are pretty gnarly, dude.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. So I guess the kind of I guess if this message in this podcast reaches anybody that has any logistics,
tell them like anybody that has any like kind of logistics, man, hit me up in a direct message on Facebook. You can find me on Facebook. You can call. You can find me on WhatsApp. You can find me wherever. I've got whatever. But
how does somebody send you? It could be. To be honest, I mean, in the world that you're in, as long as it's not highlighter yellow and a very pronounced, you are in a very. You're kind of in the. You could be in the city. You could be around buildings, and you could also be around bushes. So really, black, dark tan, and maybe actually even dark green. So you could actually
even
use
dark
like
green.
old like Vietnam.
Just think hunting equipment, dude. Like I mean seriously, like I mean like
not the bright orange.
Not the bright orange shit. Yeah.
But
But a good woodland, you know. So.
Right. Man.
And,
okay.
And the thing about it is, and I gave Rob a link to one of my books. So if you want to support me, I don't want money, but just buy my book, right? Like that, that'll help me out, right?
That's awesome.
But if you, I dropped a link for my book too, which is available on Amazon. But but if you want to help, like the best thing is because especially for Americans, right? Because trying to get anything shipped over here is expensive as shit. Right? Like, I don't even have a copy of my book because it's so damn expensive to ship, right? So, anyway, obviously, and I'm not telling anybody to donate to an American organization, like whatever, like you whatever you want to do, you do you, right? But like for me, like I know Project Overwatch and they're a Ukrainian org, right? So if y'all want to donate to them. Right, because they're a Ukrainian organization that I know specifically is making runs every week to the front lines to drop shit off for soldiers, right? Like whether it be generators, which is a big thing right now, obviously with winter coming up, right? And all these things can be sourced in Europe, right? Like it's not like it's just funding. That's the big thing, right? And this is another problem, right? Like, I mean, I'm all about people doing an audit of where the freaking billions of dollars are going from America to Ukraine, right? Because with the amount of money that they've been getting, every freaking soldier should have their own fucking generator, right? Like, I mean, it's like, I mean, let's be real here. You know, like I'll call a spade a spade. Like the corruption is freaking no shit, dude. Like there is major corruption. But
dude, that's actually everybody that has dealt with any kind of philanthropic efforts, you have to understand that usually the people that you give money is kind of like you want to trust them, but you can't really trust. So people have to kind of like put a little bit of effort and be very clear about where the money goes.
Yeah.
And it's really hard because people are very not only prideful, but
well, people are people, dude, right? Like,
yeah.
You know, like, I trust a dog more. I trust a dog not to bite me more than I do a person, right? Like,
well, I wouldn't say that, but yeah, man, for some people, for sure, because obviously they've had their experience with pretty crappy
yeah,
people, and
yeah. So I mean, it's,
yeah.
but you've got like, I mean, yeah, like and I'm not like, I mean, every government is corrupt, right? Like, there's no government on the face of the planet that's not corrupt,
Are you
right?
are you for real? Are you saying that American government is corrupt?
Yeah, it's probably the most corrupt. Look,
I'm
outside
I'm
looking
I'm hanging
in.
up. I'm
Yeah.
hanging up. I'm hanging up.
Yeah, right. It's sad. I hate to say it about my own country. I mean, I love my country. I freaking served for it, right? Like, but like, I'm still. I gotta call a spade, right? Like, I mean, you can't. Like, I mean, especially with. I mean, there. And it's both sides. It's both sides of the freaking. It's both parties, right? Like, it's Republican and Democrat both, right? Like, I mean, I think there's a little there's fewer corrupt politicians on the Republican side. I think all of the Democratic politicians are corrupt, but
Man, yeah, it's
but
so, and it is one of those things in where, especially now, it's like, it's like, I think even when I served, I think I was more Democrat than Republican, and that was just kind of when there was just where it seemed where, like, if you were just kind of a neutral Democrat, you just didn't want to push an agenda. And that's kind of where I was at. I wanted to hear both sides evenly. And actually, I don't think
yeah,
I would ever call myself a Democrat. I was just pretty neutral.
yeah,
And now it's kind of like, if you are a neutral Democrat, you're already on the Republican side.
yeah.
It's like there's no such thing.
There's no such
And
thing. Yeah,
yeah, but so the drive for you to, obviously, the thing that you want is obviously equipment for your guys and for them to be I mean, in the cold, if they're out, like, what are the hours for the guys? Like, if they are holding watch, are they doing like 12-hour shifts, 24-hour
yeah.
shifts? How's that?
So, what I've seen, right, is it obviously it's just like the United States military, right? Like, I mean, it all depends on the commander, right? And how good of a leader is he, right?
Yeah,
Like,
right.
and
Yeah.
um does he have like, so like, and this is the really hard part, especially when I'm talking to, like, former soldiers, right? Is like, you can't think of it as like they're treated they don't have NCOs like we do, right? Like, it's basically an all officer leadership, right? As
And those
anybody knows,
offers,
like, officers suck, right? Like, I mean,
right. I mean, no, I've had some amazing officers, and I've also
yeah,
had some terrible, but I've also had some terrible NCOs and
same,
some really good
same,
NCOs. So,
yeah,
like I said, humans are humans, right? But the
yeah,
thing is that, like, because of the development of this war, the commanders, right? They're not
hmm,
kind of like, if you and I think of a commander, you're thinking of somebody that's had minimum 10, 15 years on the job, right? And
yeah,
they've also have had to fight for that position, meaning
yeah,
there's
exactly,
all sorts of different tests, qualifications, there's all sorts of,
hmm,
you name it, they had to go,
yeah,
or they had to be very politically correct to get their position, right?
exactly, yeah,
But what you're dealing with, and of course you can correct me if I'm wrong, this is just me making a pretty broad assumption,
yeah,
is that these officers that are taking care of these kids, I guess you can say, um, they have quite literally been shoved in that position. If they've had
yeah,
any education, or if they've had um, any leadership, um, if they have any kind of leadership roles in their resume, they're like, okay, you're an officer. Is that fair assumption?
yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
And that's another thing, that's a kind of a part that I'm still kind of foggy on, right? Like, I don't even know how they get, like, I don't know what their leadership course looks like,
How
right?
does this work?
Yeah.
And also, I guess the reason that I asked was that, is there somebody doing that for leaders
Yeah,
that you're that?
I have no idea. Like, so obviously, when I'm teaching a squad or whatever, like, I'll designate a team leader. Like, hey, congrats, you're team leader, right? Hey, you're
Some
squad leader,
someone that
right?
shows initiative, pretty
Right,
much.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I mean, um, because I know what I'm looking for, right? Like, because I was an NCO when I was in the Army. And I, like you were saying, like, I mean, I've had good NCOs, I've had bad NCOs, right? So I know what I'm kind of looking for. I'm really looking for somebody who gives a shit about their dudes, but also takes initiative, right? Who doesn't wait for somebody to tell them to do something. They just they see a hole, they fill a hole, right?
Yeah.
So so that's what I'm doing, and like on small scales, right? But as far as like your officers, man, I have no idea what that leadership course looks like. I assume it takes place somewhere in Kiev, right? But I have really no idea, right? So for all I know, they're just giving the guy a rank and say good luck.
Yeah, bro. That's what I was gonna say. That's what I was getting ready to say. I was gonna say that you're being very. What's that noise? Is that me? That you're being very optimistic in saying that there's any kind of plan, because there's a possibility that there's no plan at all. It's just
like I said, man, I've seen a couple, like maybe 2 or 3 different command units, right?
Hey, dude, are you hearing that?
Yeah, I don't know what it is.
Rob, are you hearing that?
Yeah.
Does it sound like raindrops?
No, it sounds like the Russian government knows what we're doing, and it's like.
Hey man, I have no idea. I'm working through a VPN, so I don't know. So.
I think Putin hacked our podcast. He knew we had Michael coming on.
Putin or Biden, whichever one.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. Probably heard me talking shit, right? But anyway, so the different commands that I've seen, like, so some guys are on 8-hour rotations, some guys are on 12-hour rotations. The best one that I saw was a guy who actually listened to me because I fought cold weather, like I were in Afghanistan. He's like going, dude, man, you really need to be doing 4-hour maximum, right? Because 4 hours being in freaking 30-degree weather, just laying on your belly and behind a machine gun is a long damn time, right? Like, that sucks, especially when you're laying in snow, right? Like, it's just, I mean, and I even teach them, like, hey, if you're going to be in a position like that, you need something to separate you from the snow, right? Like, I don't care if it's a freaking puss pad or freaking whatever, just something to separate you from that cold ass ground, right? I've taught them like about freaking making, like, I mean, they're in trenches, right? So like, build a freaking fire, dude. Like, it's the enemy already knows where you are. There's no reason not to build a fire, right? Like, I mean, so I mean, but yeah. Crazy. So like, I mean, so it's really just kind of dependent on the command. So. And some commands are a lot better at listening than others, obviously, right? You got some dudes that just don't want to be told what the fuck to do, like, hey, this is my shit, right? But then you've got others that are like, hey, man, this is like, I've never seen war. Like, what do I need to be doing? Right? Like, well,
it's that worked, Mike. By the way, that sound worked when you muted. But obviously, if you need it. Whenever you want to say something, please. It's just, that noise was, if somebody's just listening to us, they're not going to want to listen to us if they're hearing that numbing. So the biggest thing that I kind of understand, like, is obviously the equipment as far as clothing, because winter comes and I mean, it gets, as far as the equator, Russia is kind of like, right? Like, kind of like Canada weather, pretty much.
Yeah.
So it's
freezing. Pretty much. So basically, the way I like going, like, so my first duty station was Fort Drum, New York, right, upstate, and so it's kind of like that. That's kind of the same weather pattern that I'm seeing, right? Like, so like I said, it hasn't really started getting cold yet. Like, we've had snaps where it's gotten down to 0, right, Fahrenheit. But it's only been for a couple of days. But when February and March comes, that's when I see that, because that's when I was here. Like, it's like everywhere, man. Like, we at Fort Drum, we did cold weather training in February, right? Because that's when it was the coldest, right? I don't know why everybody thinks winter starts in December. It's not cold in December. It's
Yeah.
cold in February, right? Like,
Yeah.
like, so,
Yeah, for sure.
but whatever. So I mean, the nice thing about that is I got a couple of months to try to get some guys some shit, right? But the big thing is generators, because a generator you can run a heater off of, right? So
your main source of transportation is a train. Yeah.
yeah, for me, like if I'm going long distances, like if I'm going from like the Romanian border to my apartment in Kremenchuk, yeah, I want to take a train. It's just more comfortable, right? Because I can get a cabin for $40, man. Like it's like all to myself, you know.
Yeah.
So it's like, you know, it's an easy route to go. But whenever I get to Kremenchuk, I've got friends where like we've got like Sprinter vans and stuff that we use to run to the border and stuff if we need to, right?
Or a lot of those donated.
Sometimes I won't like now I can't go to the border. They stopped letting Americans go to the border because it's just too freaking, especially like Donetsk and Bakhmut and whatever, because it's just too volatile, right? Like if something happens to an American dude, that's game over for Ukraine, right? Like they're not going to see any more freaking aid, you know. So they're very cognizant of that. Like, I mean, the United States, the Ukrainian military is very cognizant of like, hey, dude, like, I appreciate you wanting to come out and help, but you're more of a liability. Even though I have experience, like accidents freaking happen, right? I mean, it's war. You can't predict shit, right?
No. Right.
And so it's like they're like, hey, if something happens to you, we're screwed. So like, I appreciate you wanting to come out, but we just can't authorize it anymore. So no problem, I get it.
How is the currency over there? Is it kind of? I actually don't know the currency of Ukraine. I know it's not the ruble.
It's okay. So I always say it wrong. It's a hryvnia or whatever, hryvnia or whatever. Grievin. I call it grievin because that's I'm Texan. But basically, don't hold me to this. I think the last time I looked, it was like 40 to 1, $40 to 1, or 40 grievin to $1, right?
Right, but okay, so, but like I guess, how much is it to get a burger if you can get a burger?
Oh man, dude, it's so cheap.
Really?
Oh my God. Yeah.
Okay.
I went to dinner last night. Got a steak with like a nice steak, like a freaking, you know, like 12 ounce steak. Mm-hmm. And like some vegetables and a salad and I think the whole thing cost me, and like in what like in like, you know, so a bottle of water and whatever. I think the whole thing, cost me like 250 grievin. So what, like,
so
do the
$5?
Now, like, $5. $5. Yeah.
Those are Guatemala prices, bro. Yeah.
Yeah, dude. Like it's like that's the reason why I was like going, don't send me money. I'm good, right? Like I'm okay, right? Like buy my book if you want to help me out.
What about the water?
Water's got, well, I mean, so it depends on where you are, right? Like, so like right now, I mean, I'm close to Romania, so like most of their water is well water, like, you know, freaking out of the mountain springs. So it's pretty good. But when you get to like Kremenchuk, where my apartment is, I'm not drinking the water out of the freaking tap, right? Like I'm buying bottles.
Yeah, for sure.
So, and honestly, like, I mean, you know, obviously as a guy like who's very practical, the two things I always like really focus on is making sure that I got enough water and making sure that I have enough food, for especially when the power goes out, right? And that's another thing, like so when air raids go off here, like when you get an air raid siren, right? Like all the stores close, which doesn't make any damn sense to me. Like
at all. What is that gonna do?
Like I mean, yeah. Like I mean, why are you kicking people out in the street? like that's the opposite of what you should be doing, right?
Yeah.
But you know, rules are rules. So like if there's an air raid, like I mean, you just got to wait for the air raid to be over before you can go to the grocery store, right? But then, right, everything closes at like 8 o'clock because curfew's at 10, right? So so everything closes at 8 so they can clean or whatever, right, and get home before curfew.
Is that everywhere? The curfew?
So
Is that countrywide?
Ladies and gentlemen, currently looking for the following Cancun-bound customers. If your name is Paige, please come see
Can you hear me?
the curfew was 8 o'clock and everything closed at 6.
Madeline Brown.
So yeah.
Jessica Carlson.
Sorry, no, I didn't. I'm sorry, it must have cut off. I didn't catch that. So the
I can't-
curfew.
Lindsay Kane. Martin Reichert.
You can't hear me?
Christian Velasquez.
Oh no.
Sharon
I can now.
Woodward.
Okay. Yeah, I don't think I have much longer on here. I think I got to catch my flight also. But
Yeah, I've got dinner plans in about 10 minutes, so I gotta be bouncing here in a little bit. But,
so I guess Rob,
so-
the things that we can kind of align and kind of send out to as many people as possible is that the things that you really need to kind of, for a lot of people that feel very passionate about this war, and there's a lot of them because I see Ukrainian flags everywhere. Okay, and either those people like to have political flags in front of their house and just to say that they're cool, or which is obviously there's a lot of those.
There's a lot of that.
Right, there's a lot of those, and they really don't even know too much about it. They just kind of are representing an idea, and they don't really know what the idea is. They're just they just see it as Russia bad, doing something bad. Ooh, no, like a bully probably type thing.
Yeah.
But I think it's a little bit more, as you know, there's a lot more to this. It doesn't matter, though, right?
Yeah.
Like I think if we are trying to, at bare minimum, help, we should know how we can in the best way that we can, where it's going to go to like the good source. And I think if we can do something to at least get some equipment.
Right. So like I said, I gave Rob a link to that freaking Overwatch Ukraine.
Okay.
And you can hop on there. You can donate. I think you can donate through I don't know. You can donate through them, or I think there might be an address there to where you can ship things if you want. But like I said, if you're shipping things from freaking United States, man, it's going to be expensive as shit, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, what I try to tell people, I've kind of stopped trying to get things from the United States. I just try to give them money so they can source it in Europe somewhere, right?
Yeah.
And because I mean, here's the thing, right? Like you got to think that there's a United States military base everywhere in Europe, Germany, Italy, Poland. I mean, everywhere, right? So sourcing the stuff isn't really. Once you kind of change your perspective, it doesn't have to come from the United States, right? Like it can come from Italy or Germany or whatever.
Right. Of course, yeah. If there was an Amazon Prime to your door, we would all just buy a bunch of stuff and just send it to your door, right? So the realistic thing here is that I know that the link that you're providing for people is a link where you send money to that organization and then they buy that equipment so you have it.
But also, right? if there are people out there that got freaking contacts with the Italian Red Cross or freaking Danish Red Cross or whatever, right? Hook me up with them. I can talk to them and help logistically get stuff from whatever country in Europe, right? And get it through the border. Especially now that there's no freaking line. I don't know what happened to that, but so.
Interesting. Well, man, that's awesome. Well, dude, I'm glad you're good. I'm glad you're healthy and eating steak and
$5 steak.
Yeah. Try to find a $5 steak.
Yeah, seriously, it's and I don't even know where I haven't seen very many cows. I need to open up a cattle business here. Seriously,
yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Well, yeah, man. Best of luck to you, Rob. Thank you for putting this together. I appreciate you. I hope anybody that can hear this can do the right thing and help you out.
That'd be great, man. I mean, the thing to think about, right, is $5. The reason why I talk about that $5 steak is $5 goes a long way, right?
Yeah.
So Like if I don't care if it's $5, $10. I mean, nickel and dime that shit, man. Like I'm not asking for freaking the world, right? Like every little bit helps. So
That's awesome. All right, man.
all right, dude. Hey, y'all take care. I've got to bounce. I'll talk. Hit me up again, like in like I don't know, a month or so, right? And we can do this shit again.
For sure, dude. Take care.
All right. Hey, take care of that head.
Let's do it.
All right.
And
take it easy, guys.
Be safe. Be safe out there, Michael. We'll pray for you.
That's not
all right,
fun,
brother.
Dude.
Come home safe. We love
right.
you,
man. Love you guys, man. Take it easy. See you, Rob. Thank you for putting this together, brother. See you, brother.
All right, JC. See you, brother.
See you, dude.
Peace.
Yeah, God bless you, man. Bye.